Welcome to my cluttered garage. I'm really glad you're here. A place where we can laugh and talk and days are filled with cheer. The clouds and sun may come and go, but one thing's always clear. Welcome back, my friend. You know I'm really glad you're here. Yeah.
Hey, welcome back, my friends. I am indeed really glad you're here. Welcome to Livestream number 120. It is June 5th, 2023. And it's good to see you tonight. We've got a lot of people watching already, and I just want to welcome you here tonight. If you're new to the channel, you know, we're talking about tractors and gardening and projects, DIY projects, life in the country. I often say that the channel is for people who either live in the country, or maybe you used to live in the country, or you long to live in the country, but it's a common experience, and it's an appreciation that we all share, is the rural lifestyle. So that's what we talk about, and tonight's guest is going to be especially interesting to everyone here tonight. Hey, if it's your first time here, please say hi in the live chat. You can make a comment in that live chat, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, because we are simultaneously live streaming to both YouTube and Facebook. So let us know it's your first time here. We'd like to welcome you to our friendly family of viewers who come back week after week. So let us know that. Also, let me know, how did you find the channel? Did you find it on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or TikTok? Because the channel is out there on all these platforms, showing, you know, sometimes we do goofy little short videos on TikTok or reels on Instagram. And then, of course, you can watch the long form videos on YouTube or Facebook. So that's where we are. And of course, the live stream we do every week, every Monday night, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern time. Try to limit the time to 1 hour. You know, we could chat for hours and hours, but I try to respect your time. And as was it Barnum and Bailey who said, always leave them wanting more. So we try to end on a high note after 1 hour. And tonight's going to be no exception, because again, a lot to talk about with our guests. So it's going to go fast. So thanks again for being here. And also, I always appreciate it, especially for our YouTube viewers, to click that thumbs up button. Apparently, it makes a difference with the algorithm. I don't know, but as I often say, it makes me feel good if you click that thumbs up. Now, about tonight's show, well, that's why you're here, and we're going to get right into it in just a moment. Our guest tonight is Lee Klancher. He's a photographer, author. He's a lot more than that, though. He's a photographer and author, editor, publisher, dare I say, journalist, you know, researcher. He does it all, and an interesting person. So we're going to bring Lee on here in just a moment. We'll get to some questions. We'll talk about what Lee is doing these days with his publishing company, and we will learn all about that. And then come back next week, because a returning guest, somebody very special to us, John Furness, the blind woodsman, is going to be with us next Monday. And if you were with me for my first visit with John, which was probably well over a year ago, we talked about his blindness and how he has accepted that and works with his hands, completely blind, running a lathe and making bowls and objects, and just a true artist with a great spirit about him, and what an attitude he has. So I'm so thankful that John wanted to join us again, and we're hoping his wife Annie, who's also an artist, will join as well. And then we also do a sticker giveaway each live stream if you're new to the show, but this one's going to be special because Lee is providing something for the giveaway as well, and it's really generous. So stick around for that. You'll want an opportunity to participate in that. And we're also going to be taking questions live throughout the program. So in the live chat, post your question with the word question followed by your question, and that helps us to see your question. All right. I think those are all my announcements, and I don't want to waste any time. So I'm going to bring Lee Klancher on right now. Welcome, folks. Lee Klancher. Hello, Lee.
Hey, Ed. Good to be here.
Good to see you, my friend. Thank you for joining us tonight. It took us a while to connect, so I'm really glad I'm really glad you're here. That's kind of my catchphrase. You might not be familiar with that, but the folks watching are. I say that a lot, but I really am glad you're here. And I'm excited to talk to you tonight. So you are coming to us from Texas, right?
Austin, Texas. Absolutely.
Excellent. So I introduced you a little bit. You've got a great bio here that I didn't read or talk about, but you've been in the publishing business for quite some time. You transitioned into that from another career, and you started your own publishing company.
Yeah, I was a book editor for about 13 years and a journalist and did a lot of both making books as an editor and a magazine contributor and writer and books as well. And then started my own company in 2010. So we're on our, what does that make it? 13 years? 13 years this October.
Yeah. So 2010 seems like, maybe 3-4 years ago, right?
It does. My wife always jokes with me about that. Yeah. I'm like, that was like 2 years ago, right? She's like,
no, that was a long time ago. So that is fantastic. So your company is the Octane Press.
Octane Press is the name of the company, and we're a book publishing company, which means we're kind of like a book engineers. We create the books, get the material, have people do it, and then we have other people print it, and then we have we also do all the sales and distribution as well. So, manufacturing company, I guess, sort of is what we do.
So you're kind of the in-house author photographer, but you also publish books for other folks, and
that's correct. And I started the company basically to publish my own work, but I'd been in the industry for a long time. When I started, there was a kind of a lot of change going on in publishing. A lot of people approached me and said, "Hey, would you publish mine?" And when it was really good, I was like, "Yeah." So we've kind of stayed with that, and we get a lot of pitches, but we kind of take the things we think are really good, really worth doing. We did a book recently with Al Unser Jr., the Indian 500 champion. His family was pretty well known back in the day. Yeah. And Al wanted to write a book. He famously, back in the early 2000s, his career kind of took a nosedive because it came out that he'd had struggles with addiction. And he really wanted to talk about that. He wanted to put a book out there and say, hey, he felt that if he talked about it, and I agreed, if he talked about addiction, other people would be like, yeah, if he can struggle with this, so could I, and maybe I should get some help, because he does in the course of the book. And that was a book we took on that was a very high profile book, and it was really good for Al. He came out and talked about a lot of things, and he also talked about his race career. It's a racing book.
Sure. So. That's what people want to hear about that too. Yeah.
Yeah. But we do take on other projects. So I could go down on rabbit holes pretty quick.
When was his book published? About how long ago?
That's about 2 years now. It was I believe it was fall of 20. It was, because it was early COVID. We had supply chain problems with that book, which we solved, but it was a very difficult time.
That's great, especially because these days we're learning more and more, and people are becoming more open to mental health issues, addiction issues, and as a society, I think we're learning from that and kind of accepting it more. And I think that has an opportunity to help other people. So that's really great. And I'm sure that's why he wanted to do that as well, to share his story.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. No, it was great. So my point being, we try to take on the other books that we take on. We try to take on books that really, feel special in some way. So that was a great example of that. So.
And are your books, I know that your books are very geared towards, tractors, obviously, motorcycles, motorsports. Is there more?
We have some outdoor adventure, but it's pretty much racing, motorsports, cars. It's gearhead stuff. And I kind of got into that industry. So when I founded my own company, I was like, okay, I know how to do that and how to sell those. So we've stayed within that. And it really helps as a book publisher to confine yourself to a space you can market. So we still do gearhead stuff. The joke I like to make is I'm the world's biggest 14-year-old boy. Tractors and motorcycles and fast cars. And
you're in good company, believe me. A lot of us are out there with that. So I wanted to let you know that you'll see on your end some live chat comments. So if there's anything that you see that you want to pull out, there's a lot of people welcome you here tonight. A question here from Linda: how's the weather in Texas? It's pretty dry and hot here, but
Linda, it's raining a little bit, which is great, but of course it's raining on the day they're trying to paint my house. So I'm like, yin and yang. I'd like my house done. So my windows are covered with plastic right now.
Oh boy. That's good. Well, you have nice diffusion of light coming in.
Yeah. As a photographer, right, that's good. That's good. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, we're in desperate need of rain. It was so muddy early on, you thought it wouldn't dry up, and then now it's just concrete out there. It's rough.
I see BT Handy has a question. I do have an answer to. Do I just answer? You pull them up? Sure,
because I may not find that question. Well, I think I see it, but
yeah, he asked if I was at the Indy 500 last week. I was not. We would have really loved to. We have another new book we debuted called The Last Lap, and our author was there, and we had a number of people there. But I am finishing my most recent book, and my staff pretty much says you don't leave and go anywhere until your book's done. So it is done. I actually finished it last Friday, but we weren't able to go to Indy. We'll be there next year. Our staff will go and have a table and sell books because we have a lot. We really have a lot of Indy stuff.
Yeah. Now, is that the Farmall Century book you're talking about?
That is the Farmall Century, yeah. And I would have liked it done a little bit earlier. We're going on press pretty quick here, but we got her done, and my crew will put it together. So
good. Well, we're going to talk about that in a little bit, but before we do that, I want to go back. Tell me about your first book that you published. I'm sure you know. I'm sure you remember your first book, at least with this company.
I do. I would say you can go way back 20 years ago, but we won't go there. So in 2007. I quit to freelance, and I'd been working had a day job, and I was like, I'm going to go on my own. And the book publishing industry was changing very, very fast at that time, and it just became harder and harder to do books for other publishers. My wife actually, she said, I'm tired of hearing you carp. She said, do everything with your own company. I'd started my company, but we hadn't moved all my books there. So I'm sorry, actually, the first one predated that. The first one for the company, I had the rights to an old book, which is somewhere here, and I put it in a narrative form, a small book called The Farmall Dynasty. We published it. I found a book designer, and I traded him a 12-pack of beer to he designed it for a 12-pack. It was pretty nice. That was about the best design I've ever gotten for that kind of price.
That's a good deal, yeah.
And I put together a cover, which my in-house designer, later we brought it in, and he's like, Lee, we're going to change this cover. I'm designing you a better cover. and we published that book, and you could do it using on-demand. And on-demand just means instead of you go to a printer and you print 3,000 books, instead of that, you just load it to a system, and they print them as they sell. So I don't have any money, honestly. I've been a book editor my whole life, kind of like being a farmer, there's not much extra. And so the whole project, that one was a few $100s. And then as that book sold, I took the money and put it back in the company. And that's when other people started approaching me. We did, I think, 4 books that year, 3 by other people, the very first year. And for about 3 or 4 years, I just let the book sell, took the money, put it back in. And eventually, by 13, our first book, Red Tractors, came out. And that book was a big hit. And then we started getting offices. And I had hired somebody right in that era. This guy, Toby, who to this day I like to joke that Toby did everybody's job, so nobody can complain. But we have a couple hundred books in print. About 7 of us on staff, so it's become we're still a small company, but it's become much bigger than my garage.
And you've got a pretty niche market there with tractors and so was that a passion of yours? Like, how did you see the opportunity there to publish these books and know that there would be an interest in this?
Well, it's a funny story. So as a kid, I was into motorcycles and cars, a big time gearhead, and grew up in farm country. My dad was a teacher, but he bought a house on a farm, and we lived there. So, I knew farm things, but tractors to me were things you did work with. They were cool enough, but it wasn't my passion. And then right after I got out of college, I had done a lot of science writing and got some attention from a local publisher. And they said, hey, why don't you do a book about farm tractors? We got all these books. We think your science writing background would really be good. So I said, okay, I'll check that out. And I went and did some shooting and learned about it, and really liked what I found. The tractor really had a significant effect on our culture and our society, and I thought that was cool. And taking the photos was great. I was kind of an outdoor photographer. I shot outdoor photography and sports at the time. So that fit, beautiful outdoor settings, nice light, and kind of vintage rough machines, which I loved. So it really all fit. And then over the years, I really developed a passion for that history. It's really about American history starting in 1850, it really gets rolling in 1906, but that time period of America, how did things work? How did this all happen? That's become just a very deep passion of mine.
So how deep of a dive do you go in your books as far as the history of these machines? There's beautiful imagery, but you're not just taking pictures and captioning it saying, here's a Farmall M or here's a Super A. You go into the history a bit with that as well.
Yeah. And the way that I do them is I look at it from why did this machine come to exist and how did it come to exist? And I'm trained as a narrative nonfiction journalist, which just means I use real stories to tell little stories to tell big stories. So I'll talk to people and find an engineer or a designer or a farmer or a salesman who has a story that helps you understand why is this tractor here? And sometimes how is this tractor made? So my books do combine, the visuals are really strong. It's part of why they sell. And but with what I just call good journalism and very readable. So you can read it and it's enjoyable because it's, fun stories.
Yeah.
So we try to put more in. I still got a couple questions.
Yeah. One question is, how many books have you published? I guess yourself as an author or photographer.
To be honest, I the other day I was looking at this and I really don't know. It's more than 12. And I think if you include the ones I contributed to where somebody brought me in and I put something significant in it, not just like 2 pictures, it would be well over 20. So, but I literally need to go, how many is it?
Yeah. And what came first, photography or writing?
Writing. So I had a wonderful writing instructor and in college, and she said, look, and I was learning I wanted to be a freelance writer right away. That was my thing. She said, look, if you're a freelance writer, you need to know how to take a picture, because she says photographers are flakes. They're going to get drunk or get lost or forget and not show up. And you're going to go on assignment and then you don't get any money because there's no photos. She said, so just take a photo class so you at least know the basics. You can take a couple pictures, give them to the editor to get your money. So I did, and I turned out I was pretty good at it. And I was surprised because I wasn't I was a good writer, but I didn't think of myself as artsy in the art school way, in the drawing kind of way. But photography I had a real gift for. So that came later. But I'm probably better known now for my photography than my writing, to be honest.
How about that?
How
does that make you feel?
It's good. It's good. It's nice to be surprised.
I'm a writer.
God, I can actually do something. Yeah.
Nice. We were talking about tractors, but Chris here from the Watershed Overlook has a question about one of your books, Motorcycle Dream Garages. In the web sample images is a night shot into a hangar full of bikes. Center frame is a silver yellow F86 Sabre themed bike. Any info on it or the builder?
Yeah, I could dig that up. I would have to dig back. I know the bike you're talking about. I don't remember that builder offhand. And that garage is pretty cool. The guy who has it, it's a hangar. It's an airplane hangar on an airport in California, and the hangar next door was Harrison Ford's hangar. And this guy did not want his identity. So that piece in the book is just great because I had to write it anonymously, and I couldn't give away which airport and all that. But the bikes he has in there are spectacular. Is the F86? I don't think the F86 one's the jet bike, if I remember correctly.
I don't know.
Hang on one sec. I do have a copy of that book.
I have a shot of your website here, but these are tractor books on the website.
Yeah.
Oh, there's the cover, Dream Garages. There.
The cover was shot in Canada, up in Kelowna. So Kelowna, British Columbia.
All right. Well, shout out to our Canadian friends. We have a lot of folks watching from Canada.
I will. I'll dig that up and I'll drop it in the chat at the end of the broadcast. The info
nice
on that bike.
Excellent. And Mikey's asking if you've done anything on the history of garden tractors.
A lot. We do have a book. We do have a book on Farmall Cub. I contributed some photographs, but it's Kenneth Updike, one of our authors, and Rachel Gingell, who has a YouTube channel that's great if you're into Farmall Cubs and repairing tractors. She's awesome. She does tractor repair. She and her family up in Michigan. And the two of them collaborated on that. But that's the Cub. So, and Cub Cadet, there's a little bit in red tractors. There's some very cool pictures, and that's about it. So
yeah. Well, I had a guest on from the UK. He has a YouTube channel called Garden Tractor Boy. A young man from the UK. What was Joseph? 15, 16 years old now, and he works on garden tractors. And here in the States, garden tractors are kind of on their way out. It seems like everybody's getting zero turns or compact tractors. Where it was interesting talking to Joseph and his father about the UK, they don't see a lot of compact tractors like we have here. They still use garden tractors quite a bit over there. They don't have zero turn mowers over there. Very few people, he said, have those. So it's very interesting that it would be so different. You would think kind of the world would go all in the same direction with that, but they don't use zero turns and they don't use compact tractors. So garden tractors are big over there, but kind of dwindling, I think, over here. Yeah.
My favorite garden tractor thing is, of course, the garden tractor racers. They modify them, and those things, the unlimited ones, are pretty fast.
Yeah, the racers. Of course, we have a local tractor pull nearby, and they have garden tractors that do the tractor pull. Yeah, and of course, antique tractors as well.
Yeah, these do like a old track.
Yeah, I've seen those. They're not really. It's interesting because they're top heavy and they're not really made for that.
Not a good thing to go racing with. No.
Yeah. So yeah. So jumping forward now, let's spend some time talking about your latest book, which is Farmall Century, and that is based on the fact that Farmall, I guess, was founded 100 years ago.
It is. So my company, one of the first ones we did was this book, Red Tractors, which I got to get my left and right here. And that was done back in 2013. That was about the red machines, Case IH and IH, from 58 to 2013. We did several others, but we hadn't done the older tractors because there was quite a few books about that. This year, with the anniversary and with 10 years of research behind us, we're doing a book called The Farmall Century, which covers in detail the tractors from 1906 up to today, up to 1957 and 8. It's basically the earliest generation of Farmalls, the really classic Farmalls. And that book does kind of the things we did in our other books, which I sort of talked about. There's a lot we do a lot of research. So we did research at archives other people haven't been. So there's new things that if you're a hardcore, you haven't read. It's also very readable, and it's designed so if you're new to it, it's still fun to read and you're going to know everything you need to know. And it's got a lot of first-person stories, again, which I had to dig up from historical archives. There are some people I talked to, particularly there's a thing called the M&W company that did modifications to Farmall Letter Series tractors. Really great story. Two guys from Central Illinois built this company just initially doing a 9-speed transmission. The old H's and M's had 5s. which any of you guys that have Kubotas know 5 is not enough. And so they disassembled a tractor, put it in the basement of an old office building, and then in that basement powered the transmission with, they took there was a silo unloading electric engine, rigged it up, and then got this transmission to work. And with very clever engineering, made the 5-speed a 9. They put 4 more closely spaced gears in. But they became a big aftermarket. They built a lot of things for tractors that fixed problems the factory didn't. So the book has just a lot of kind of heart and soul stories like that in there.
That's really, again, a great, really historical document. What's neat about the Farmall is that I think anybody who has any experience with tractors or farming understands or knows a Farmall, had one. I mean, gosh, so many farms are still using these machines today.
Yeah.
And they're, I don't know about the ones that are from 1923, but certainly the H's and M's from the 1940s, you see them pulling hay wagons, and nurseries have them.
Yeah.
Still in use today, which is amazing.
Incredible, the utility of those. I agree. I mean, what else do we have from 1945 that still works pretty well day to day? The original Farmall also was arguably, along with the Ford N and series and just a few other machines, one of the most important, if not the most important, tractor model in history. Because back in 23, 24, it was the first tractor that could turn a belt, pull a plow, and cultivate. None of the other ones were high enough to cultivate. It seems so simple to us now. It's like, oh, you just put some tall wheels on it.
Yeah.
But it was a very radical design, looked very unusual. And one of the really neat things is, if you go through the corporate archives at that time, International Harvester was very concerned about Ford and the Fordson. The Fordson had come out, disrupted their industry, taken tons and tons of sales from them. They went from Ford was not there. Ford jumps in and takes 40% of the market overnight. So they're freaked out. They, as a company, came up with this McCormick Deering platform that was going to be their antidote to Ford. In the meantime, this guy, Bert Benjamin, off in a kind of a back corner, he was in a different factory, was building this Farmall, and they looked really odd. And there was a lot of corporate resistance to this tractor. And there was one executive from Nebraska who had been a cowboy, and he became actually president of the company. He never got a advanced education, and he understood how good that tractor was, fought for it, and eventually got it out in the hands. They built some prototypes, and the prototypes got in the hands of people, and people were like, we gotta have this. So IH literally was there was kind of internal fights to even get it out. And of course, when it came out, it was the big thing at the time.
And then they developed the little A with the offset for cultivating, where you sat right over the row, and that was I'm sure that was really innovative. And like you said, probably looked really weird, and it was different.
And the offset comes from the early Farmall experimentals. That was one of the things that I discovered in this book. I'm sure there's a few other historians out there who had known that, but I hadn't seen it in books. But the offset was tested on the 1920 Farmalls. Wow. They had already had a guy sitting off to the side so you could see,
Yeah. So. I had one of those, and of course it was just had the start, the crank start in the front, no battery. I don't even know what year it was, but it didn't even have the option of a starter. So, but what a neat piece of equipment, because almost maintenance free with no battery. You had to just find the compression and hit that crank. Of course, don't wrap your hand around it, because you could break your thumb if it backfired. So you got to wrap your hand this way. But it was a neat machine. It was very smooth. Now, was Farmall always produced by International Harvester? Is that the company that developed Farmall?
They were, yeah. They came up with the idea. Everybody was trying to find this cultivating, do-it-all tractor. And in a very early document, somebody said farm-all. So the idea is it would do everything, right? And then that sort of stuck and became internal use. And by I think 22, that design they were calling Farmall. And then when they introduced it, they put the logo on the side. They had lots of branding issues because the company came out of a big merger in 1902, and they kept all those brands alive forever. All the owners were really stubborn, and so that company in those early days had at times 7 or 10 brands.
Interesting. I have a picture of the book here that we're talking about, Farmall Century, and this is coming out. You said you just finished it recently, right? So it's going to print, I would assume.
It's going on press shortly. They'll be shipping in September, and they're available now to pre-order.
Excellent. And that's through Octane Press. Where else do you sell books?
Anywhere books are sold. So octanepress.com, obviously you can buy from us, but you can go to any of the big online platforms that I don't want to mention, which is fine. Or you can go to your Case IH dealerships. We'll have them. You can go to any bookstore and order them. Literally, we really work to make sure our books are available. Outback Toys, one of our great partners. If you check them out, they'll have it. So yeah, anywhere you buy books, though.
Anywhere you buy books. And one thing you mentioned to me the other day when we were talking is folks can join the Octane Press mailing list, and maybe you can talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Just go to octanepress.com and it's right there. We're real careful with our emails. We don't send a ton. We do have some great content and things that we'll send emails about. So we have blog posts, and our social media is pretty active. Facebook in particular, we put a lot of cool just pictures and stuff. So you can kind of get a flavor for what is in our books without having to buy them. And we won't bomb you with too many promotions. I try to treat you like a neighbor, and just we send enough that you get some information, but you're not like, oh my God, there's another one.
Yeah, so, yeah, I can appreciate that. We all see that where it's too much, and it's unfortunate because a lot of times I have an interest in a company and I do want to keep up to date, but they're just a little overwhelming with the emails, and you just can't have. We get so much junk email as it is now. So
there's so much. I see Sarah and Tim are correct. The Cub Tractor has the longest production. I'm not perfect offhand, but I think it's 47 to 79. And then there was iterations of it that lasted into 81. So just crazy how long that thing was built.
Yeah.
That thing, I think, was the company's one of their real strokes of genius at a time when they were kind of struggling. It was that late 40s, 50s. They were really distracted with a lot of different things. They did refrigerators. They did construction equipment. They weren't putting quite the money they should have been into the right places. But the Cub was brilliant. That was a stroke of genius.
Yeah. Love it when something works, right? I'm sure they had really no idea, like anything, if it was going to hit or not, but it became a piece of Americana.
And David, we will have that Amazon price will go down eventually, but we've got it for 65 at ours. He said it's 85 at Amazon. So okay. Amazon will get more aggressive with pricing later. Their algorithms, Lord knows how that works, but
right now it's actually more economical to buy directly through Octane Press.
Yeah, we have a very carefully thought out pricing model that we're generally competitive with Amazon. We tell people to go there at Christmas. We can't do overnight shipping.
Right.
It's just too hard to do. We have a pretty good warehouse, and it's still pretty difficult. So if you need it fast, if you're like, oh, I got to have this for Dad to open up tomorrow morning or 2 days.
December 23rd.
Yeah,
go to Amazon. Right?
Go to Amazon. That's fine.
But you said coming out in September.
Yeah,
people can pre-order now. To me, it sounds like such a great book as a gift for, tractor enthusiasts, but we all have, older members of our family who might be farmers who would really love. I guess you'd consider it a coffee table book, although it does have more information than just pictures.
Yeah, it's a coffee table book you can sit and enjoy. And we also got some smaller trims of these too. Actually, I'll grab one here before we're over. And the smaller, you'll see that I think they're $40 or $45. And those books are the same books, just in a smaller size. And a lot of people really like them because it's not so heavy. These books are 8 pounds. So there's been a lot of jokes. One of our partners likes to say it's not a coffee table book, it's a coffee table. So,
just put some legs on it and you got a table there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's great. I can't wait to see the pictures in there. Now, did you take all the pictures? Do you have other folks taking pictures?
Not all. I take most of the contemporary photography. There's a couple of people we work with. There's a guy, Mark Jensen, that usually does something for us, and he does light painting, which is really cool. He dresses up all in black at night, takes flashlights and lights the whole thing with flashlights manually. It's just amazing. But I also use a lot of historical photography. I really believe you should see the tractor in the day. Sorry, my so like there's I think that's the Queen with one, but and there's some color stuff too we dig up. So we do a mix of photography from that time period and then my stuff. There's a question I'd love to answer about career changes. So I don't know
from Chris here. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that one can be real short. I'll try to keep it. Yeah, we're 6:37. So yeah, and obviously he read, I wrote about this and talked about this. And at that time I'd been in publishing for maybe 10 years, and it was 2002. And we went on this ride to Baja, and we actually got lost. So, and at the time I was doing my freelance work was mostly motorcycle adventure travel, which if there's ever anything that makes you want to leave your desk job, you go work at the office and then, you go, ride around Baja, taking photos and getting lost and all that.
Is this the race out in California? Is it the Baja 500?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's parts of the race course, but it's Baja. It was Baja, California is the peninsula, kind of western Mexico, a little sliver of Mexico that comes off of California. And it's a wonderful place to ride off-road motorcycles. It's just a very rugged, remote part of the world. And there's a lot of trails down there. So myself and actually two of my good friends who traveled a lot with me on those trips left from LA and rode down. I think we rode about 500-600 miles down. And parts of it was the Baja race course, but parts of it was on regular roads and parts of it on very, very remote roads.
Right.
One of the days, it's logistically very challenging to do this. So one of the days was about a 90-mile ride. All of it, I don't think there was a town in the entire day. It was on the western coast, south of Rosario, if you look at the map, and there's just nothing there. There's literally nothing on the map. And I had a friend who was a guide, and he said, no, it's fine. And we didn't have GPSs then, but he told me how you do it. Well, we got down to one portion of it, and the roads just kept splitting. Every, 400 yards, it split. And we really didn't know which one was right. Well, we later figured out it didn't matter. You just kept the ocean over here and the mountains over there and just kept going. But we circled around and got lost, and we ran out of gas. So we had to go to this little town and get gas. When we finally got where we were supposed to be, there was a gas station we gassed up. We didn't realize that we kept riding and we were supposed to be done. So we rode 2 days. We rode, I think, 285 miles, parts of it just brutal. And by the end of the day, I'm sorry, I'm getting way into this motorcycle story. End of the day, we're coming down. We crossed the peninsula. We're coming out of the mountains. The sun is setting. And I had this moment. And I was just like, I want this. I want to do this. And then the next morning I woke up and we were, actually it was 2 days later because we stayed there 2 days and then rode south. And I was riding on the road and I'm like, that's it. I'm quitting. I'm quitting my day job. Now, so that moment, and I had been freelancing, I was making money. I knew I could do that. I knew that's what I wanted to do. I was tired of working for that company. There was a lot of change. We'd been bought, things that happen in companies that aren't a lot of fun. I think all of us who have jobs go through that. It wasn't a terrible place. It just wasn't where I wanted to be. And I had been thinking about the leap, and I'm like, I'm going to make it. Now, I spent the next 4 years, and I would highly recommend anybody who's thinking about a leap to think about doing it this way. is I made it a side hustle to write and get clients and work. And I worked 120 hours a week, I think, easy. Maybe that's an exaggeration, but I worked 80. And actually, my book publishing job, I cut to 4 days, and I worked on the side really hard so that when I quit, it was still scary. It's if you've had a paycheck your whole life and all of a sudden you don't have a paycheck, it just like, whoa, it keeps you up. Because, Friday, money's coming in every other Friday, right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, no, if you don't have anything, it doesn't work. And so when I did quit, I had a lot of clients and a lot of regular work that it wasn't too bad. It was still scary. It was the best thing I've done in my life. Well, no, marrying my wife was the best thing I've done in my life.
She might be listening. That's right.
Well, and it was, but and starting this company would be count. But I certainly it wasn't easy, but I was a lot happier person.
Yeah.
So if anybody's thinking about it, I'd say, yeah, go do that. But for me at least, I needed that to build that safety net, not just leap blindly.
Life is short, and I'm a firm believer, and I tell people this. Now, of course, as being a YouTube content creator, a lot of us have that same desire. Like, this is what I really like to do. I'd love to do this full time. I'd love to, leave the steady income that I have and do this full time. And a lot of YouTube content creators reach that goal. They do that, and they're able to provide for themselves and their family by doing that. But I tell people, not that I'm some guru, but my advice is always just be honest. Be honest with other people and be honest with yourself, because I'm a firm believer that we know what we really want. You've reached that experience in your life and it came to you and you knew it and you embraced it. You knew that's what you wanted and you followed it and you were honest with yourself and you said, I want this. I want to do this. And I believe that if we take some time, call it meditation, call it prayer, whatever you want, but really dig into our inner self, we know inside what we really want. And I'm happy for you that you tapped into that and you followed it. And look how happy you are now.
Happy guy.
What a happy guy.
That's good.
There's
another great question about the war effort. I wouldn't mind talking about that. So,
yeah, I saw that too from another question from Linda here about.
Yeah, thank you, Linda. The war is massively interesting. So farm manufacturers at the time had kind of this two-edged thing going on. So one is every time there's a war, more people use tractors because the men in World War I and World War II both played huge roles in the mechanization of farming because there's a labor shortage at home. There's people out fighting and farms already struggled with labor. There's just nobody around to do it. And often women and children end up doing it. So anything manual, they need automation. So the tractors were very much in demand and desirable. The other thing is, though, the government, particularly in World War II, was very stringent about what you could get for material, what you as a company could build, and even what you could buy. You literally, we just were going over this. You had to get a permit as a farmer to buy a new tractor. So the war was fascinating, and IH got they had a guy that was, in fact, famously in the company, he got promoted because he was so good at getting steel for the company. He figured out how to navigate all the government regulations, get them steel. And, they wanted those tractors on the farms because it helped feed everybody, ultimately helped the war effort. They also landed a lot of government contracts building tanks and trucks and ammunition, all kinds of things, rifles. They built Garand M1 rifles, IH built.
International Harvester built rifles.
They did. They
How
did.
about that?
Garand M1's a real collectible to a niche of people. But they did for quite a few years. And we did quite a chapter on that because that really hadn't been covered in other books. So there's a pretty extensive chapter by a contributor, Jim Allen, just a fantastic. If any people are truck people, go look up Jim Allen and read his stuff. He's got a column. He's got a number of books. He's absolutely the best. He has a great book he did for us on IH Scout Jim gets it right. And he did a piece on all the military stuff that IH built and sold, or built for the government during that time. So
interesting, very interesting.
I really like this format. It's fun. It's fun being able to take questions. It's adds a wrinkle.
It is nice. It's nice to be so interactive, and appreciate the folks that are watching, asking questions, and participating. It makes it a lot of fun for sure. So let's talk now about our giveaway tonight, because this is pretty exciting. And I want to do this here because we're wrapping up with about 14 minutes left tonight. So now I do a sticker giveaway. I don't have them with me, but I have stickers with the logo, and we do that every week. I talked to you if you had any swag, and you're very generous what you offered to do the giveaway tonight. Now we're going to limit this to the U.S. and Canada only, because what you're offering is pretty big. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. So we have a very special edition of our of these books that we do, and each time we do one, and we had two different special editions. They're both, all right, I'm gonna back up here. So this is the box it comes in, and the book is the same book as the one I just showed you. It's just in this beautiful box. And the really cool thing, let me see, I think I need to stand up. God, my left and right, is for those of you that can, yeah, there it is. That is an actual International Harvester serial number plate from I think it's a 60s tractor with a unique number. So this particular one, there was only 100 of them made. This is number 555, which is mine. You don't get that one. But we were going to give away one of those. These books, there's only a few left. They retail for $400. And they're just a really unique book. We did it, I'll be honest, we did the first one. I was going to do it as a gimmick, and people loved them and bought them. So I was like, okay. So we've done 100 of each of those. I have a few. Great. I've got some pictures here. There's a great photo.
So that's an actual metal tag that's riveted to the cover of the book.
That is an actual metal tag riveted onto a leather cover. Yeah, and those photos on the left. Also, in that you can see in the left side there's an envelope, and there's photographs of prototypes. And the only way you can get those photographs is with the special editions. So they're just kind of they're a fun book. And you also have a great durable book you can read.
And a nice, again, thick, heavy book. Probably another, I don't know if it's another 8-pounder, but it's a big one, right?
Those are actually 12 pounds with all the case and everything. Yeah, the book itself is the same weight as this when you pick it out. When you hold the leather book, but with the case and all that, they're heavy. Beautiful books, and actually, I see now on eBay they're worth more than they were. So they're kind of a collectible.
Well, again, that is extremely generous of you. Probably one of the biggest giveaways we've done here on the program. So I want to thank you for that. And I say, let's do it.
Sure. Pick a winner.
All right. So here's the way it works for those of you who might be new to the show. In the live chat, I'm going to share a word or a phrase with you, and you'll type it in the live chat exactly the way you see it, and then we will randomly pick a winner live tonight. And we'll know who the winner is. Again, U.S. and Canada only, because it's a heavy book to ship for Lee, and he's already been generous enough to give it away. So we have to kind of limit that. So apologies if you're watching from the UK or anywhere else, but we have a lot of U.S. and Canada viewers. So simple process. Here's the deal. In the live chat, type the word, making this easy, #Lee, just like that. It can be all uppercase, lowercase. Doesn't matter, but no spaces. #Lee. We'll collect these entries, and we will draw a winner and see who wins tonight. Oh, you can see the numbers coming in now.
Oh, that's fun.
So we usually give people a minute or so to enter.
Do all caps count? Is capitalization important?
You can do all caps. You can do all lowercase, as long as there's no space. See how Mikey here did all uppercase. This
I
mic
saw
did
it. Yeah.
lower,
I'm a
so
fan of the
it'll
all
work.
caps.
It'll work either way. You can do a mix of both. So just hashtag Lee is all you have to do.
The odds are pretty good. If you're out there, it's like, hey, I'm 1 in 30 or 20 or 30, maybe. It's pretty good.
50, 1 in 50 chance you have right now.
All right, 50. Okay. Oh, are you giving away stickers?
I will give away stickers to the winner as well. So once I collect their address, I will send them stickers as well.
Double wins, man.
I forgot to have them here, but everybody knows what they look like, so that's fun. I do have a special edition 25,000 subscriber sticker that I had generated to celebrate 25,000 subscribers, and we're creeping up on 30,000 now. So it's limited edition, but not like your book.
No, it's heavy. Whoever it is, you better make sure you're, of course, if you're working on a farm, you probably can lift this.
That's right. That's right. And then once they get this, they'll see the quality of your work, and of course, maybe you want to order the Farmall Century book, which I'm excited about that one. I can't wait to see the pictures in that, because again, it's so familiar. You see these tractors all over the place.
Yeah, there's some cool ones in there. There's we have a guy found when they made the 100,000th Farmall, they painted it silver and had a big deal back in 1930. A guy found that in a pasture in Iowa and restored it. Beautiful.
Wow.
Beautiful machine. So there's some stuff you wouldn't see anywhere else, I don't think. So.
Interesting. All right. Well, I'm going to hit the draw button here.
All right.
We've got plenty of entries. More than half the folks watching have entered. So
great.
Let's see who our winner is tonight. Do a little drum roll here.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Nice.
Shows it.
Mark.
Mark.
Congratulations, Mark. I think Mark, maybe
Mark's
from Canada, so extra shipping for you if that's the case, Lee.
It's okay. It's okay. We love our Canadian covers.
Yeah, we have a lot of viewers.
Well, congratulations, Mark.
So congratulations, Mark. Listen, Mark, I'll need you to send me an email at contactmcgtv@gmail.com. Send me your, if that's not your correct name or if it's an internet a cover, send me your name and your postal mailing address. I'll forward that to Lee. I'll send you some stickers myself, but send me an email, Mark, and I will forward this to Lee, and his company will get that gift out to you. Congratulations, Mark. And again, thank you, Lee, for that really generous gift.
I love to get these out there. And Mark will send you some tracking too, so you can see when it's on the way.
Excellent. I just have to lose this music here. See? Yeah.
I better talk about the Red Power Show too, I realize.
Yes, I did want to ask you about that before we wrap up. We have some time for that though. So the Red Power Show, tell me about that.
So Red Power Roundup is the big annual show for people that are fans of Farmall and red tractors. And it's a really neat show. It travels around the country. Unlike the John Deere guys, they always hold it in the same place. The red guys, they travel all over the place. So this year it happens to be in Grand Island, Nebraska. It's the place to go if you want to see red equipment. There'll be, things you only see at that show. And they also have food and they have entertainment. It's a lot of fun. I'm going to be there pre-selling our book. We'll have a special on the book. And also myself and my good friend Max Armstrong, who's a radio and television broadcaster, are going to be doing a presentation. They've got an arena. They got the special tractors in the middle, and they've got a 20-foot screen that Max's crew figured out how to tap into. So we're going to project up on the screen and be talking about each of the special machines and kind of the stories around those machines, why they're important to IH. And also, in some cases, these machines are just really interesting. How did this person find that particular machine? So that will be Thursday and Friday of that show. The show is June 15th to the 17th, I believe. And if you Google Red Power Roundup 2023, you can find it. If you're anywhere in driving distance, one of those shows is well worth the trip. They're really fun. And come and see Max and I talk. And you can come. We're gonna have a booth. Come and I'll sign books.
Oh,
I only
awesome.
sign books in person. It's too much hassle to ship them. So
so if we have some Nebraska folks, what a great opportunity to attend the show, meet Lee in person.
And to add to that, I will be at the Farm Progress Show in Decatur, Illinois, and also at the Half Century of Progress Show in Rantoul, Illinois. Both of those drivable from Chicago, Indianapolis, St. Louis, that part of the country. So, and those are at the end of August and early September. So my crew will be there. We'll be selling books, and another opportunity to come say hi.
Excellent. Well, Lee, we're wrapping up. We're almost at the top of the hour. I knew it would go fast, but what a pleasure it was to talk to you and share your story with the folks tonight. I really just want to thank you for being here and joining us this evening. It's been a great conversation.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on, and thanks to the crew. I really like this interactive thing. Thank you, John. So really fun to be able to kind of interact. So
well, we keep an open invitation here. So anytime you want to come back, if you have anything to announce to folks, anything going on exciting that you want to share, let me know, and we'd love to talk to you again. Thank you again for the generous giveaway tonight, and of course, Farmall Century is coming out in September. You can pre-order it now. If you go to octanepress.com, you can pre-order it there at a great price, the best, better than what you can find at some of the other platforms, apparently. And what a great holiday gift that's going to make for folks. Good timing with that, with the release of that. I'm sure that wasn't intentional, right?
No.
You don't want to push to get things out before the holidays. I mean, that's just happened to be coincidence. But no, it is. I'm sure that it's good for you to have a deadline too, right? We got to get this thing out.
Yeah, totally. There's a lot of people that are happy I'm done. So myself being one of them. So it's great. Yeah.
And thank you to your, I guess it was your publicist who reached out to me to schedule this. So thank you to, I think it was Andrea.
Andrea actually found you. So yeah, definitely thanks.
Appreciate that. Well, hello, Andrea, and thank you very much for that. So, all right. Well, again, thanks so much, Lee. We look forward to talking to you again, and I appreciate you being here tonight.
Been a great pleasure. Really appreciate you having me on, Ed. Thanks, everybody.
Have a great night. Well, folks, I want to thank you for watching tonight. What a great time we had talking with Lee Klancher. I hope you enjoyed the program tonight, and come back next week, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and see John Furness, the Blind Woodsman, and for a great conversation as well. It's Monday night, and I hope you have a great week ahead of you, and I hope you have good weather. I hope you have rain if you need it, and just want to thank you for being here. I look forward to seeing you next time.